They notice everything, say almost nothing, and somehow leave the deepest impression in the room. They don't fight for attention, they don't rush to speak. Yet when they finally do, the room subtly shifts. Quiet people aren't boring, shy, or weak, and once you understand how their minds actually work, you'll never look at silence the same way again. Welcome to Cognitive Crown, the channel where psychology reveals the hidden rules of human behavior. Today, we talk about psychology facts about quiet people that will leave you speechless. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why silence is often the loudest signal of intelligence in the room. Fact 1. Quiet people process the world deeper, not slower. Quiet people aren't silent because they lack thoughts. They're silent because their minds are overloaded with them. Psychologically, their brains run a deeper processing loop. While others react in real time, quiet individuals pause to decode meaning, subtext, emotion, and intent simultaneously. Every conversation becomes layered data. This internal filtering system slows their response time, but dramatically increases accuracy. That's why their words feel deliberate, sharp, and unexpectedly insightful. When a quiet person finally speaks, it doesn't sound random. It sounds considered, and that's why people instinctively listen. Fact 2. Silence is their thinking space, not discomfort. What feels awkward to others feels productive to them. Silence isn't a gap to fill. It's a mental workspace. Psychological research shows quiet individuals rely heavily on internal dialogue rather than external stimulation. Their clarity forms when noise disappears. They don't need constant talking to stay engaged. They need mental stillness to organize thought. Their silence isn't passive. It's active cognition, problem solving, and reflection happening beneath the surface. While others are talking around ideas, quiet people are thinking through them. Fact 3. Quiet people are extremely observant. Quiet people see what loud people miss. Because attention has a cost. When you talk less, your brain reallocates energy toward observation. That's why quiet individuals pick up on micro-expressions, subtle tone changes, posture shifts, and emotional inconsistencies. Psychologically, this makes them highly attuned to social dynamics. They often sense tension before it's visible. They notice dishonesty before it's exposed. They understand people before people understand themselves. Many times, they already know how a situation will end. They're just waiting for everyone else to catch up. Fact 4. They feel emotions more intensely. Quiet people don't lack emotion. They absorb it. Research links quieter personalities with higher emotional sensitivity and deeper internal processing of feelings. Instead of expressing emotions outwardly, they experience them inwardly, where emotions hit harder and linger longer. A comment others forget can replay in their mind for hours. A moment others ignore can emotionally shape their day. That's why they often need solitude, not because they dislike people, but because their emotional system needs time to reset. Silence is how they recover. Fact 5. Quiet people speak only when it matters. Quiet people don't speak to fill space. They speak to add weight. Psychologically, they are selective communicators. Every sentence passes an internal filter. Is this necessary? Is it accurate? Does it matter? If the answer is no, they stay silent. They would rather be misunderstood as quiet than expose themselves through meaningless words. That's why when they finally speak, it lands heavier than expected. Their words don't compete. They cut through. Fact 6. They are natural strategic thinkers. Quiet minds are long-term minds. Instead of reacting emotionally, quiet people mentally simulate outcomes before acting. Their brains naturally run what-if scenarios, mapping consequences and probabilities. This makes them exceptional planners, calm decision-makers, and powerful problem solvers, especially under pressure. Their calm isn't hesitation. Their silence isn't fear. It's controlled foresight. While others react, Quiet people calculate. Quiet people don't need to dominate the room to control its direction. Their power isn't in volume, it's in awareness, depth, and restraint. And once you understand this psychology, silence no longer feels empty. It feels intentional. Fact 7. Quiet people are often misunderstood as cold or distant. Quiet people are often judged before they're understood. Because they don't broadcast their thoughts, people project assumptions onto them. Psychologically, the human brain is uncomfortable with silence, so it fills the gap with stories. They're rude, they're arrogant, they don't care. But silence doesn't mean absence. Quiet individuals are usually deeply engaged internally, tracking emotions, reading the room, and processing far more than they reveal. They don't react immediately, not because they feel nothing, but because they feel too much to respond impulsively. This emotional restraint often gets misread as emotional distance. In reality, quiet people experience connection internally before expressing it externally. They listen longer, they think deeper, they reveal themselves slower. And because their inner world isn't on display, others consistently underestimate their depth, empathy, and loyalty. The irony is this: the people who appear the most distant are often the ones who feel the most intensely. Fact 8. Their silence can make others uncomfortable. Quiet people don't try to dominate a room, yet they often control its emotional temperature. When someone refuses to fill the silence, it removes the social safety net most people rely on. Psychologically, silence forces self-awareness. Without external noise, people are left alone with their own thoughts, insecurities, and impulses, and that creates pressure. That's why many individuals start talking more, oversharing, joking nervously, or filling space with unnecessary words. The quiet person hasn't said anything, yet the power dynamic has shifted. Silence becomes a mirror, and mirrors make people uncomfortable. Fact 9. Quiet people are highly selective with relationships. Quiet people don't chase connection. They filter it. They aren't interested in constant interaction or surface-level bonding. Psychologically, quiet individuals invest emotionally only where depth, trust, and authenticity exist. They prefer one meaningful conversation over 100 casual ones. This selectivity often leaves them with fewer friends, but those bonds are usually deeper, more loyal, and more resilient over time. For quiet people, connection isn't about proximity, it's about alignment. Quality always outweighs quantity. Fact 10. Quiet people often intimidate others without trying. Silence is often mistaken for judgment. When a quiet person listens without reacting, it creates psychological tension because the human mind hates uncertainty. People begin projecting their own insecurities onto the stillness. What are they thinking? Are they analyzing me? Did I say something wrong? Psychologically, this projection turns silence into perceived authority. In reality, the quiet person is usually just observing, processing, or simply being present. But because they don't immediately reveal their thoughts, others assume depth, intelligence, or evaluation. The intimidation isn't intentional, it's imagined. And that's the quiet paradox. The less they try to impress, the more impact they have. Fact 11. Quiet people are often more intelligent than they appear. Intelligence doesn't announce itself. It waits. Quiet people are rarely the fastest to respond. And that's exactly why their thinking runs deeper. Psychological research consistently shows that reflective thinkers tend to perform better in complex problem-solving, abstract reasoning, and long-term decision-making. Instead of reacting impulsively, quiet individuals pause, simulate outcomes, and test ideas internally before speaking. Their minds prioritize accuracy over speed. This is why their intelligence often goes unnoticed at first, but over time, as patterns emerge, decisions prove correct, and insights land with precision, Their depth becomes impossible to ignore. They don't impress instantly, they reveal themselves gradually. And that kind of intelligence lasts. Fact 12. Silence makes them more attractive than they realize. Mystery is one of the strongest psychological triggers of attraction. Quiet people don't overshare. They don't explain themselves endlessly. They don't reveal everything at once, and that restraint creates intrigue. Psychologically, unpredictability activates curiosity. The brain wants to fill in the gaps. When someone is quiet, others subconsciously lean in, wondering what's beneath the surface. What are they thinking? What do they know? What aren't they saying? Often, what they don't say carries more weight than anything spoken aloud. Quiet people don't chase attention. Attention gravitates toward them. Fact 13. Quiet people possess unshakable inner confidence. Quiet confidence doesn't announce itself. It stabilizes itself. Psychologically, quiet people build confidence from self-awareness, not applause. They spend more time reflecting than performing, which strengthens their internal compass. Because their identity isn't outsourced to others' opinions, it doesn't fluctuate with praise or criticism. They don't need to prove their worth out loud. They already know where they stand, and that certainty is what makes their presence feel grounded. Fact 14. They are emotionally resilient under pressure. Silence trains emotional endurance. Quiet people are used to sitting with their thoughts, even the uncomfortable ones most people try to escape. Over time, this conditions their nervous system to tolerate stress without panicking. When chaos hits, they don't need to react immediately. They regulate first. While others become louder, faster, and more reactive, quiet people become slower, steadier, and clearer. Their calm isn't denial. It's emotional strength. Fact 15. Quiet people don't chase approval. Quiet people don't need constant reassurance to feel secure. Psychologically, they form identity internally rather than socially. Their sense of self comes from alignment, not acceptance. This makes them naturally resistant to peer pressure, manipulation, and emotional coercion. They aren't easily swayed by trends, crowds, or noise. Their self-worth doesn't rise with praise or collapse with criticism. And that independence is rare. Fact 16. Silence gives them authority without dominance. Authority doesn't come from volume. It comes from precision. Quiet people speak deliberately and infrequently, which conditions others to pay attention. When they finally speak, their words interrupt chaos with clarity. Psychologically, rarity increases perceived value. People listen because silence trained them to, not through force, through presence. This is authority without aggression. Fact 17. They understand people better than people understand them. Observation outperforms expression when it comes to insight. Quiet people gather psychological data over time, patterns, inconsistencies, behaviors, and emotional leaks. They notice what people say, what they avoid, and how they act when they think no one's watching. Because they listen more than they reveal, they understand motivations before words are spoken. This makes them surprisingly accurate judges of character. Often, they know who someone is long before that person knows themselves. Fact 18. Quiet people are powerful in ways the world doesn't measure. The loudest force in a room isn't always the strongest one. Quiet people don't dominate through noise. They influence through presence, depth, and restraint. Their power doesn't spike quickly. It compounds slowly, invisibly, and consistently. While others seek attention, quiet people build leverage. And by the time their impact is noticed, it's already undeniable. Quiet people don't need to be loud to be powerful. Their silence isn't empty, it's intentional. If this video changed how you see quiet minds, like it so more people hear this truth. Subscribe to Cognitive Crown for deeper psychology that most channels never talk about. And comment below, Are you the quiet observer or the one just learning to notice them? Because sometimes the strongest presence in the room never says a word.